Namo Aditapha. Thanks so much for joining me for our daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This wonderful sound calls us back to our true home. The fourth mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful speech and the inability to listen to others, I vow to cultivate loving speech and deep listening in order to bring joy and happiness to others and to relieve others of their suffering. Knowing that words can create happiness or suffering, I'm determined to speak truthfully with words that inspire self-confidence, joy, and hope. I will not spread news I do not know to be certain, and will not criticize or condemn things of which I am not sure. I will refrain from uttering words that can cause division or discord, or that can cause a family or community to break. I'm determined to make all efforts to reconcile and resolve all conflicts, however small. For our Dharma lessons, we're reading Taming the Monkey Mind, A Guide to Pure Land Practice by Buddhist scholar Cheng Wei-an and Dharma Master Suddhisukha. Today we're continuing in Appendix 2, which is Introduction to Pure Land Buddhism by Dr. J.C. Cleary. Pure Land Buddhism as otherworldly. Among the many varieties of Buddhism, the Pure Land teaching most deserves the epithet otherworldly, often erroneously applied to Buddhism as a whole. Pure Land doctrine teaches that this world is an arena of unavoidable suffering and frustration, and holds out the vivid prospect of rebirth in another, better world, where sickness, pain, and death do not exist. This world is a hopeless trap, from which we can escape only by the power of Amitabha. Unless we attain rebirth in the Pure Land, peace and happiness, to say nothing of enlightenment, are beyond reach. From a Buddhist perspective, it is the modern, this-worldly orientation to life that is a form of unrealistic escapism and unwarranted pessimism about human possibilities. It is unrealistic because it seeks the meaning of life and gratifications that can only be temporary and partial. It seeks escape from mortality in transient pleasures. It is unnecessarily pessimistic because it ignores or denies the transcendental capacity inherent in humankind, turning one's back on enlightenment to join with the dusts. Pure Land Buddhism within the Buddhist spectrum. What was the relationship between Pure Land and the other forms of Buddhism in East Asia? Pure Land teaching incorporated many of the standards and perspectives that were basic in popular Buddhism as a whole, deriving from the Buddhist scripture. Pure Land teachers urged their listeners to observe the basic Buddhist moral code, to refrain from killing, stealing, lying, sexual excess, and intoxication. Strict vegetarianism was encouraged as a corollary to the precept against taking life. Pure Land people were to give their allegiance to the three jewels, that is, the Enlightened One, Buddha, the teaching of enlightenment, Dharma, and the community of seekers, Sangha. Pure Land teachers adopted the usual Buddhist moral perspective of cause and effect, of rewards and punishments according to one's actions. Pure Land people were taught to accumulate merit by good works, such as giving charity to the needy, helping widows and orphans, maintaining public facilities, supporting monks and nuns, contributing money and supplies for ceremonies and rituals, and making donations to Buddhist projects like building temples, casting statues and painting images, and copying and printing scriptures. Many Pure Land believers, in addition to reciting the Buddha name, studied and chanted various Buddhist scriptures like the Lotus Sutra, the Diamond Sutra, and the flower ornament, Avatamsaka Sutra. All these merit-making activities were viewed as auxiliary to the main work of reciting the Buddha name. Pure Land theorists were faced with the task of clarifying their teaching of salvation through faith in Amitabha, given the mainstream scriptural Buddhist view of salvation as a reward for eons of diligent effort at self-discipline and purification and refinement of perceptions. By holding out the prospect of rebirth in the Pure Land through Buddha name recitation, even to sinners, the Pure Land teaching appears to depart from a strict rule of karmic reward, which emphasizes the individual's own efforts as a decisive factor in spiritual attainment. The Pure Land teachers explain this apparent anomaly by appealing to the infinite compassion of Amitabha Buddha as an expedient embodiment of the infinitely pervasive Dharmakaya Buddha, who promises that all who invoke his name will attain birth in his Pure Land. The pioneers of the Pure Land teaching indeed took the position that for people in the later ages, the arduous path of self-restraint and purification proposed in the old Buddhist scriptures was no longer feasible. For average people, the only hope of salvation would be to rely on another power than their own, the power of Amitabha Buddha, in addition to their own personal effort. The Pure Land practice of reciting the Buddha name bears a family resemblance to the chanting of mantras that plays a major role in esoteric Buddhism. As a Pure Land master Chu Hung said, reciting the Buddha name is equivalent to upholding a mantra. After you've gained power by reciting the Buddha name, you will be able to face objects with equanimity. According to Pure Land teachings, invoking the Buddha name brings into play the vows of Amitabha Buddha, whose supernatural powers bring those who invoke him rebirth in the Pure Land. The key element is faith in Amitabha, and the Pure Land teaching is propounded as an easy path, open to everyone. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be at peace. Namo Adidafa. Thanks so much for joining me today.